I'm Kapil and I represent Picus Security. One thing I'm very excited about that after 25 years attending so many events, probably this is the first event, the first speaker is cybersecurity. Otherwise, normally we talk about a lot of other things, but cybersecurity is always afterthought, right? So my topic today is continuously validated security operations. Since I consider myself as a student of cybersecurity because this is an evolving field and we keep learning every day new and new things, I will start my presentation with a very contemporary example. And that is, everybody knows this is a Google map, right? Now, what is the evolution happened in this Google map when it started first and what it is being used today? So when it started, the people who are using Google Maps are the ones who did not knew the route. If I'm new to the city, I will use this route, the Google Map to find out my path. But today, the people who are traveling day in, day out in the city is also using it because they want to predict the traffic. And they want to take the best path available so that they can reach fastest to their destination. Right? That's the use of validation, that I know my path. Right? I have my vehicle, I know my path, but I need to validate whether I am the right path or not. Every time I take my vehicle, I have to validate whether I am on my right path. And the same is about cybersecurity, because it is completely unpredictable. The things which is not in control is how adversaries are evolving every day, new and new attack. And when we buy solutions and we implement a lot of products and architectures, we believe that, yes, we have taken the right gear, but am I on the right track? With the evolving attacks, am I on the right track? Are they configured properly? Are they used properly so that we are able to achieve our objective? So that is the context with which we will look at the entire validation piece. And what is important, or what is the proof point of this, is that, let's say from 2017 to 2023, these are the few technologies which has been adopted by all the organizations across the world, including large organization and even the smaller organization now in India, which is what is the mainstay of any new SOC or new buying, which is happening from so many years now, right? Now, but if you see the IBM data breach, this thing, that you can figure out that while the investment is increased, but mean time to identify and mean time to contain is only increased. Why is this happening? Despite of taking all the latest technologies available at our disposal, deploying that in our data centers, why is that mean time to identify the incident and mean time to contain that incident is only increasing? And this is a food for thought. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. So attack sophistication is increasing, and that is why we say cybersecurity is like a game. It's not one side playing. It's both the side playing. You do something, they do something more. So it's like that, right? So it's important. So this is where the validation comes into the picture, because we cannot actually always believe or trust that whatever has been given by the vendors has been properly implemented. There is always a gap, and that need a continuous alignment and fine-tuning. Now let's take an example of a simple attack, and that this is what is the reality today. Let's say, for example, we all heard about SolarWinds attacks. I'm sure everybody has heard about SolarWinds attacks, because that does not impacted only cybersecurity, it impacted across. Today we see in all the compliances, on all the regulation, software bill of material, and all of that is coming, third-party risk management, is because of such kind of attacks. So assume that this happens tomorrow. It can be this attack, it can be any other attack tomorrow. What will happen once this comes into the media? The first thing is that business will ask, what is my impact and liability? And obviously, their question is, are we ready for this threat? I have implemented so many controls, I have so much of investment in cybersecurity. Am I there? Can I stop it? That's the expectation. Then what happens is, it goes to our red teamers who are supposed to help you with all the adversaries' behavior so that they can figure out, they can do pen testing, they can figure out that how exactly and what need to be done to whether you are vulnerable or not. Then it goes to a SOC analyst who is supposed to bring the new rules and new detection engineering and all that he has to do. And then the security engineer who is supposed to implement those security in your devices. Now what is actually happening is that red teamer is searching for TTPs because nobody is providing them any TTPs anyways. They are only looking Google, they're first finding source, and they're reading a lot of marketing article, but there's nothing actionable available to them with which they can do something about it, unless some security vendor releases it, right? And same goes with SOC analyst. He is waiting for vendor to release a patch. And the security engineer is, once it is released, is coordinating to get those patches. So eventually, what is the role of CISO? CISO is been tasked to acquire specific knowledge, create response plan, test those response plans, and then validate those response plan accordingly. This all task comes under either CISO or IT, ERP head, whoever is in charge of overall IT and applications, right? They are supposed to do all these activity on their own while everything is broken. And why this is broken? Because we have deployed all the technology with an assumption that is working fine. And we have taken the best of the technology available and that it should work on its own. But unfortunately, it does not work on it. Now if you go ahead on this, why it is happening? It's happening because of two important reasons. That in handling anything, there is operations and there are skills. Now, operation accounts for all the tools which we buy, and the skill accounts for all the people who are managing those tools. Now, the problem is that in terms of operation, there is an increased population of technology vendors. So in cybersecurity, you talk about one thing, there are hundreds of vendors available for handling that particular topic. So many products are there that to be able to really manage them properly becomes increasingly difficult, and as Sir said, that's complexity increasing. Right? Other side, with the skill availability, today, how are we gauging our skills on cybersecurity? It's more about the certifications. And I was part of one of the largest cybersecurity company for 11 years, and I can tell you I would have trained not less than 5,000 people in India in my 11-year career there. And I can tell you after training all those people, when there is an attack on any critical infrastructure and customer looks at me as a vendor, I cannot even pinpoint one person in those 5,000 people who can actually go and solve the problem. Why? Because how am I training? I'm training them to install the tool. I'm not training them to use the tool in the battleground. Because that infrastructure is not available. The TTPs are not available. So they know how to install, but they don't know how to use it when there is an attack. So that's the difference. And that's where the context learning of the war game is not there. And that is where the problem happens. Now, this is at the level of what is there. But actually see the operations today, how the operations are managed. There are assets which are managed by multiple people. First are the internal teams. Let's say you are from organization. That organization has some internal team. Sometimes they have an expert. Sometimes they have project manager who are managing multiple other teams to deliver the results. Then you have SIs or vendors who are actually implementing those tools and then managing it a lot of time. And then you have also vendors who are providing the solution. Among this multi-stakeholder environment, there are different responsibility assigned. What is happening? There is a lot of drift of configuration happening. So the two way, one is our ability to handle those tools. Second is the way the operational structure is there. It impairs the agility in the operation. That is why you saw what happens when the actual attack comes. So this is the operational reality of today. Now, one more important data point is there. So how the industry or organizations are responding today, as per our understanding in last 1-2 years, what we are seeing, a lot of RFPs coming out from large banks, SEBI regulated entity, IRDA, PSUs, government, a lot of RFPs are coming on these technologies, which is red teaming, offensive security, SOC, breach and attack simulation, cyber range, attack surface posture management, or continuous threat exposure management. Now, if you see how it aligns to the SOC evolution or security operations evolution, is that we are already on Gen 5 of cybersecurity, wherein we are using the things like assumed breach approach. So SOC should not only think that I have to detect what is going to come from outside in. It has to assume that breach has already happened. Now, if breach has already happened, what all damage can it do if assume that attacker is already inside your network? Now, when it is inside your network, then it's a very different approach. And if I take an anecdote, what happens just now in Kashmir, that what is the problem? If it is only people coming from outside, you can stop it. But they are using living of the land. So in cyber parlance, what we say is living of the land, which means they're using tools which you already have in your environment. They don't need to bring anything else from outside. So all the perimeter security actually does not of any much of the use because they are using the tools which is already in. So that's what people are talking about, attack surface management and things like that. So SOC is already evolving in that area, and the MITRE frameworks and other frameworks are helping organization to build that resiliency. So that's already happening. So what is our take now? So this is our take on the entire solution piece. So what we believe is that we have to democratize this knowledge of red teaming or the adversary behavior. It should not be limited to some people who are experts. How do we democratize? Can we provide all the TTPs and all other attack behaviors to the engineer sitting on console so that he can use it for his favor? Right now it is only with the expert circle. Can we democratize it so that a person who doesn't even know too much of red teaming or pen testing or too much of technology, can he simply use those adversarial behavior, simulate in your network and check whether validate whether your security operations, all the security control which you have already invested in SOC and others, are they working fine or not? How are they going to respond if this attack happens today? So that's the simulation platform we have built, and we believe that we should democratize the adversarial or red teaming knowledge. Then what happens is the cyber working group, it can be experts in cyber or he can be a general person who understands how to operate the tool. He can then simulate those attacks on the existing security operations, which is SIM, EDR, network, endpoint, web application, all the security infrastructure, even in case of industrial control system, not on the actual system, but maybe on replica system, where we can do those attacks and say how they are responding to those attacks. Now, when we know how they are responding, then obviously the options are either they will block this threat or detect those threats and do the right thing, what they are expected to do, or they might be not be able to detect or prevent the attack. In case they are not able to detect those attack prevent, that means there is something need to be done now. With the same tools, we are not saying you have to buy new tools, but with the same tools, what you will do more. So what happens is if it's not blocked, then they go to cyber range, and what they do, they try to formulate the new rules and create a response strategy for what is not blocked. So this way what is happening is that you are actually validating your SOC, validating your security control proactively before that attack happens. So you have the knowledge now that, let's say that attack is happening somewhere, it's not happened on you yet. You run that particular attack in your network in a safe way and understand what your security control did, whether your people were able to respond to it or not. And once we have that knowledge, then go back and do the enhancement or mitigations as to where were the problems. And there you can actually create new rules, and you can also invite people, security team to come and take part into incident response drills, right? So why incident response drill till now is not very effective, because typically we are doing tabletop exercises, which means that we give a hypothetical scenario, people react in a hypothetical way. It's just like we do a fire drill today. Somebody will raise an alarm and everybody come and assemble area, but nobody actually knows the pressure and the time constraint when the actual fire will happen. Nobody is experiencing that. Everybody knows, okay, this is a drill. We are telling already before that it's a drill. People will take it the same way. They will come and assemble, they will chit chat and they will go. But when the actual fire happens, so that experience and exposure is not happening. And that is why we believe that incident response drill should be real in nature, so that people can feel the context of time and the pressure of responding in time to different things and coordinating with different agencies in that real time. So that's what we can do all. So this is our take on how we should validate your security operations. Anybody who has taken at least 2 tools, let's say firewall and EDR, which is typically everyone, should be able to do it, because you have already invested substantial amount of money and time in cybersecurity, which need to be now, cannot be an autopilot. Because we know that if it is an autopilot, you will get in traffic jam, because you think that you know everything and I'm on the right path. Now beyond this, how the adoption of these technologies is happening. So there are, obviously every organization is not of the same level of criticality, and also in terms of budget and the complexity involved. So today what is happening is the people can use it as tool, this particular thing as a tool, or they can use it as a project, or they can use it as a program. Now what is the difference between them? When they will use it as a tool, they will do one-time activity or some periodic activity like they do VAPT. it's of a use, it's better than what it was before, but then it's still for a compliance. Right, okay, once in a year or twice in a year I have checked whether everything is fine or not, but attacks are evolving every day. So it's more of a compliance, and the objective is red teaming. Then the people who use it as a project, they are looking at it as an activity of 3 months, 4 months, where they are not looking at only finding gap, but they're also looking at how to mitigate the gap, which means that their longer duration involvement. One cycle you complete red teaming, then you also work on mitigation, create new formulation, practice those things, make people trained on that stuff, and then move on. So that is the second thing. And the last and most important way of using it is a program, because then you are not using it as activity, you are creating a practice or a program around this, which does not only involve doing an assessment and finding mitigation, but it also brings the ability to train people, practice them, so you actually elevate the entire posture, not at the technology layer, but also at the people and process layer. Because imagine every day your engineer comes, he has those 5 attacks which pass through in your network, which is real attacks, and then he has a playground to work with those attackers' behavior to create new rules, create new thing. And it is not left on that when attack will happen, then they will learn. No, they're proactively doing it every day. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years down the line, you will have a very different operational team. Because then by then they would have done this with hundreds of attacks, and some new attack comes, they exactly know all the SOPs, what need to be done, how to handle those things. So those are the customers which are using it as a program where the objective is not just the assessment, but skill development, overall posture management, and cyber drills. So this is the adoption curve which we are seeing in India with different customers based on their different size and objective. And finally, what are the outcomes? So outcomes are basically, there are twofold. One side is technology or posture, other side is the people or skills. The first side is that you can see the situational awareness will increase, our risk attack readiness will increase, response readiness, security maturity, all of that will increase. But the most important part on the right hand side, if you see the grid, and if you can map this, your people around it, that the first level on the left hand side is where people will learn how to fine tune the signature. And it is not happening in the training class. It is happening with the real infrastructure, with the real attack TTPs and everything on the real basis, right? Then slowly, gradually, once they know how to fine-tune signature, they will move to the next level where they will start understanding how to import IOCs. Now, everybody of you will getting a lot of feeds from Certain, right? Certain and many other organizations are sending you a lot of feeds from government where their IOCs involved. How are we operationalizing them? Are we really using it? What are we doing with them in our environment? So slowly, gradually, your process will also start handling IOCs import. They will understand what to do with them, right? And then we go to this next one where they will start doing the data validation on whether the logging is happening, whether all kind of logs happening. Tomorrow, any attack happens, are we able to detect and log it or not? And finally, they'll be able to really proactively start operationalizing those cyber kill chain, where if the attacker comes as a reconnaissance and then slowly moves on to the next level, then the privilege escalation, lateral movement, and final impact on the behavior. So they will be able to do, slowly, gradually start handling different level of cybersecurity operations. And for all of this, you do not need really very big up overall in your technology. So if you are really writing or trying to build a SOC from fresh, or you are already with a SOC where you are refreshing it, or maybe you have a bespoke this thing about validation and all those technology which people are already buying, then this is the approach we should take, so that it does not only impact one piece, but it impacts horizontally across people, process, and technology. So that is exactly what is the entire thing. And now, my final way, if you will do all this, this is what will happen. So when business will ask you what is an impact, are we ready for it? What is going to happen is you are going to have evidence-based reporting. Okay, this attack you spoke about, we ran the simulation of that attack in our network, and there is a proof that we were able to stop it. And here is if we are not able to stop it, these are the actions we are doing. We have identified what need to be done, right? Then for a red teamer, he doesn't know and search all over the place. He has that TTPs available already with him, with which he can test easily. For a blue teamer, because he has all the TTPs available, he can write his own rules formulation without depending upon the vendor to come and give it to him, right? And finally, the SOC engineer can implement it. So this is how you will be able to see the entire impact across the, when next time attack happens, then you can do it. My only humble request is that it is not about buying one tool or things like that. It is about setting up the right program for yourself. You already have 90% of tool in your environment. Whatever is the size of an organization, I'm sure due to the regulations and all that, you already have invested a lot. It's just about setting a program properly, right? So that's, with that, I'll end up my question. We do this workshop with people to give them the real feeling of what use cases can be achieved, right? And how exactly, so we'll give a real feel to you. We'll set up the use cases for you. You can really feel, your engineers can play around with it, that how this will impact fully your environment. And good thing is that we don't tell you to buy new tools. We will use your existing tools to use this, right? With this I end, and I think my coordinates are there and you can take it otherwise on my stall. Thank you so much.